What is going on, all my bearded fireflies? Even if you don't have a beard, you're welcome. You're always welcome here. Welcome to the Bearded Fireflies Wrestling Podcast. It is Saturday fucking afternoon, November 18th, 2023. The day of our Lord, the year of our Lord. Man,
considering we're talking about wrestling, I don't know if it's about the day of the Lord because Tony Khan can.
Yeah. The Lord of all professional wrestling, TK, Tony
Jesus.
Khan man, Tony Crackman.
Crackhead.
Yeah. Today we're gonna a brief synopsis of what we're gonna go over. So first we're gonna go over Monday Night Raw and talk about some of the things that happened because there's something huge that happened on Monday Night Raw, and if you missed it, we got it here for you. Chris is gonna cover NXT. We're not gonna talk about Dynamite. Okay, we're just not going to. I refuse to.
But Sean, it's the greatest show of the week.
If I wanted
Didn't
to watch,
you know?
If I wanted to watch the greatest show of the week, I'd close my eyes. Okay. And then we're gonna talk about Friday Night SmackDown that happened last night, and cover what happened on the Ring of Honor taping and how fans are taking it. And then we are going to wrap up with our Survivor Series predictions with the card that we have currently right now. In the middle there, we're going to talk about some other fan controversy. But before we get into that, Chris, how was your morning so far?
Been fighting with my washer all day. So.
Man, in the wrong context, that would be bad news.
That's very bad news. But hopefully I get that taken care of. It's been okay, man. Haven't really done anything besides eat. That's really about it so far.
Yeah, man, I just got done eating, man. I ate leftovers from mac and cheese and some mashed potatoes, carb loading, because I'm about to go in hibernation for the winter.
That's what the beard's for.
That's what the beard's for. It keeps me warm. Actually, you know what was crazy? If you guys can't see, I did this painting back here. It says Merry Christmas, and if you don't agree with me, fuck you. No, respectfully. It's, you know what? I don't count Thanksgiving as a holiday.
Oh man.
Okay, I don't count it as a holiday because it's a reason for us to eat and get fat. All right.
Savage.
I mean, and then on top of that, the message of Thanksgiving, what we should be grateful for, we should be saying that every single day.
Retweet.
Yes, retweet. Hashtag.
Oh wait, sorry. Repost.
Re-X. Jesus Christ. What is this world coming to?
Thank you, Elon.
Thank you, Elon.
The gift that keeps giving.
our Lord and Savior, the year of our Lord. We're going to go back to that, Chris. We're going to go back to the year of our Lord. Anyways, so I was painting this Merry Christmas wreath. I am not artistic in any way, but I was like sitting there and I could feel the heat radiating from my beard, and I was like, "Where is this coming from?" It's coming from my beard. It's insane. It's wild. But anyways, we're gonna dive into Monday Night Raw. We're gonna talk about some events that happened. Kick off the show. We had a segment between all the participants of War Games, men's War Games for Monday Night Raw, and that is the Judgment Day. Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, fucking yeet Jey Uso. You know what I'm saying? And Seth Rollins, and there's no fourth member, right?
Is there?
There's no fifth member. Oh, yeah. Sammy is the fourth member. Sorry, forgot about Sammy. But yeah, we had a segment between all of them, and some shit happened, and JD McDonough took a bullet for Damian Priest. Right? Okay. What do you think about? What do you think about that? About him diving and taking the bullet?
So I take it as a couple things. I take it as we're obviously reaching the end of Damian Priest being part of the Judgment Day in some capacity. I don't think he should be a world champion while in a stable. while it works for somebody like Roman Reigns, who has had the bloodline the whole time, um, I don't see it having the same effect for Damian Priest because, let's face it, Dominic, as great as he is, with the amount of heat that kid can get, and Finn Balor just kind of being there. Uh, JD is an up and coming, really, really good talent on that main roster. Um, and I just feel like either Damian's going to be replaced or he's going to be slowly pushed out now that JD is officially part of JD.
Yeah, right. I
Yeah.
think, yeah. Yeah. Anyways, side note, LA Knight song sounds super, super West Coast, like a OG Snoop Dogg
Yeah.
Ice Cube kind of deal, and I dig it. But anyways, crazy. LA Knight is actually originally from up the road, Hagerstown, Maryland. I live in Sharpsburg. It's about 25 minutes away. And your main event bro is going to be here in the new year, Matt Riddle, for Adrenaline Championship Wrestling. That's going to be fun. I'm not going. Anyways, there was some things that happened during the show, and it was entertaining. I was fully sports entertained, but one of the things that I really am starting to have an issue with Raw, specifically with Raw. There's nothing against anybody, but you're incorporating new tag teams into the division. They're getting called up, or the tag team is getting reignited. In the case of DIY and the Creed brothers, and you have them face off against each other. That's my.
So I just gotta say, for the sake of Triple H's booking, I know Johnny wanted DIY. I know Ciampa wanted DIY. I would say if this was still when DIY first got together and they got called up and Triple H was under control of the main roster when it was still a very strong backing, I would be all for it. But we've seen what Ciampa can do as a solo guy. And while we've seen the same from Johnny, the difference between Johnny and Ciampa is Ciampa has personality, he has character, he has charisma, he has in-ring talent. Not saying Johnny doesn't have any of those things, but the type of charisma, the type of character and or personality that Johnny has doesn't connect to a casual main roster audience. It's like, oh, hey, look, I could do this slingshot spear and a couple super kicks. Nobody gives a shit. And I love Gargano. Gargano is one of my favorite NXT guys. But Triple H did nothing to make sure he was going to succeed on the main roster. And I love Triple H's booking. But when it comes down to is he's so dead set on getting these black and gold guys and girls over that so many of them flop so hard because he didn't do a good enough job to make sure that they were main roster ready. You could argue somebody like Bronson Reed, who I never in a million years thought he was going to get reactions, starts getting reactions when he had that banger ass match with Chad Gable and Gunther. So his formula works sometimes, but I honestly, and I will die on this hill for as long as I live, NXT right now is better than Triple H's NXT will ever be or was.
Yeah.
Simply for the fact that we don't have a main roster NXT disconnect anymore. That was the biggest problem in NXT Black and Gold in the main roster. Yeah, sure, you can blame it on Vince, but like I said in the last podcast, look at guys like Ascension. They weren't ready to be called up. They were horrible.
Yeah.
And I'm actually not really good friends, but I've talked with Connor enough to know he's a great person, but he just, that gimmick was never going to get over.
No. And I think there is no disconnect now. You've got main roster people going down to NXT. I mean, we saw Axiom last night on SmackDown. Phenomenal match.
So good.
It was great.
Can we just talk about the fact that they got a standing ovation after the match?
Mm-hmm.
I said it on Twitter last night, or X, whatever the hell you want to call it. Everybody in the whole IWC who shits on talent like that, I'm not a big fan of guys who just flip and do all that garbage either. But both of those guys got a standing ovation from a casual audience who the last time they were on Monday Night Raw in that city was almost crickets the entire show.
Mm-hmm.
Like that says something for both of those guys because they can work.
Yeah, and my issue is like I'm seeing, going back to Raw and the tag teams is I'm seeing these guys get pulled up or factions pulled up and they're being put in storylines with teams that you're trying to get over, like with DIY, right? Like how are they supposed to get over if you're putting them against a brand new tag team, right? And granted, there was a run-in with Imperium the week prior, but you have Tommaso going up against Ludwig. Dude, I don't care who you are. Imperium is red hot and has been since they've been on, in WWE, whether it was in UK, NXT, like NXT UK, NXT, like its own standalone, and the main roster. It doesn't matter, right? They are red fucking hot right now. Why would you book them in a feud against them, right? Like there's so many other tag teams. I mean, we were pushing like New Day acting like heels. Why couldn't they just fucking continue that, right? There's so many other teams that they could put them up against, to start elevating and then put them in those feuds, right? Put them in those feuds that are gonna help elevate them or help get them to the next level, right? But if you're trying to push Imperium even harder by having them beat the new babyface tag team, you're succeeding, right? But I don't know, this formula, it's not working out, and I feel bad for them. But we're gonna move on past that. The main event we've seen Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso try and recapture the unified or undisputed tag team titles, going against Judgment Day against Finn and Damian. Hell of a match. I was fully entertained, but what really caught it was the very end. We seen Jey Uso do a suicide dive to the outside, and then he looked over and there's Drew. Drew's just standing there all menacing, and you and I talked pretty much through the whole broadcast, and I was like, dude, Drew is turning tonight, and you're like, I don't think so. I'm like, no, and primarily the seeds, in my opinion, were set during that backstage scene with Seth and Drew, where Seth looked at Drew, and Drew gave him respect and said, I'll earn my title shot back. Dude, I have never seen Drew say that. Period. Never seen Drew. And that to me was like the kickoff was like, okay, some shit's about to go down. Someone's about to get fucked up. And, sure shit. But here's the thing. He only went after Jay. He didn't go after anybody else, right? And then you seen at the ramp after the match, after Judgment Day pinned Jey Uso, you seen Mommy come out and shake Drew's hand. Now, with that scene being set, does that scream to you Drew is now in Judgment Day, or Drew is aligned with Judgment Day, or he was just doing a job for them?
I think it's him, picking his spot and aligning himself with Judgment Day just to try and get back to Seth's title is how I would take it. Or maybe he helps Damian cash in, and then he takes the title off of Damian. There's a couple different directions they can go with that, but right now I think it's just Drew getting his revenge on Jay, which he did. Yep. And now I guess he's the fifth member at Judgment Day. Or not Judgment Day, at War Games. And we find out Monday who's the fifth person for the other team.
Well, that's a good segue that you said that because on Facebook, a good friend of mine, Rodney Harris, Rodney, he had his own wrestling show that I used to tune into called Beyond or Behind the Barricade. Super great team over there. But he asked, he said, "Who do you think will be added to the War Games match for Cody's team?" I'm thinking Randy, and I'm 100% for Randy as well. Chris, who do you think? You think Randy?
So I have been hearing Randy's name be tossed around the internet for the last 2 weeks. I've heard Fightful talk about it. I've heard Dave Meltzer, who I will never quote after saying his name just now.
His name makes me
Drop his name.
nauseous.
Me too. Same with Fightful. Um, and I'm not against it as long as he is 100% to go into a match like that, because back surgery is something I don't want to see him get hurt again. You know, there's three names that I was kind of tossing around after SmackDown. It was Kevin Owens being one because he got suspended, and that's the other friend that Cody could have been talking about after the show.
Yeah.
And LA Knight is another one too, but LA Knight doesn't have any Judgment Day beef, so it doesn't make sense. That I
No.
remember.
Go ahead.
So it's either Randy or it's Owens. Those are my two picks.
I'm thinking Randy, but like you said, I want him healthy. I want him at
Yeah.
100%. I don't want I don't want Randy, coming back and then risking getting injured again because that could be his career, right? Like his career would be over at
And if
that
I
point.
can make another comment about Randy being on that team, what doesn't make sense about Orton being on that team is Jay. He has the same complaint about Jay that Drew does.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess you can essentially put Randy in Cody's team, but then turn on Cody's team and align with himself with Drew. Him and Drew take the titles off of Judgment Day. I don't know. My brain is kind of all over the place with that now that I just said it. But yeah, I just don't think it makes sense in terms of like booking, because Randy and the Bloodline, they're
Yeah.
the reason he went out.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. Also, Andrew Robinson on Facebook commented. He said, "Nobody or respects anyone with the name Drew. I speak from experience." But yeah, I think that if we do get Randy, it could lead to future feuds. I would love to see, and I know that it may not be conducive to the situation, but I'd love to see a heel Cody. Right, I love to see heel Cody turn on Randy, but more than likely they're going to keep him face.
I
Um,
think he should stay babyface for the rest of his career, in my opinion.
yeah,
Everybody who's anybody on the internet has said that he will not hold those reactions after he lost to Roman.
no,
That man has not lost one person in that crowd. If anything, he's gotten louder reactions.
yeah, and that's why I dislike or disagree with the thought of Roman burying people after, people say, "Oh, they're buried." How are they buried? When I mean, look, LA Knight got is getting more reactions now after he faced Roman because he earned
Exactly.
that respect, right? And then the same thing with Cody, and the same thing with Jay. Like Jay is on that, in my opinion, on that same level as Cody. Like he put them together, and it's like you're blowing the roof
Nuclear
off.
reactions.
Nuclear reaction. It's insane. Charity says, "Love the name. Thank you. I appreciate you." Um, but yeah, man. And if we do end up getting I mean, we could go Kevin Owens. I don't know. I would like to see Kevin Owens in that team, but also in the same vein, I would not, because I would like to see Kevin Owens separate himself and
I agree.
be a singles, star, have a singles run maybe next year,
Yeah.
maybe next year, within the next 2 years, put the strap on him, right? Like the world heavyweight title, because that man, not world heavyweight title, whatever the SmackDown championship is, um, put that title on him because that man is a fucking workhorse. And I don't care if he's on commentary. I don't care if he's in the back. I don't care if he's that man is a workhorse, and he puts in the work. And everybody says he doesn't need another championship run. No, he doesn't, but he deserves it.
I agree. And speaking of him on commentary, that was probably one of the most entertaining shows I've ever heard on commentary.
You could
like him using the Telecaster. I was crying.
Look at these faces. They're frowning when they should be smiling. Like had me dying. It was so entertaining. It was so good. But then okay, so we could do that, but we could also have a main roster call up, which I don't think would happen.
It wouldn't make sense.
No, it wouldn't. It really wouldn't. So I would love to see Randy. Like it boils down to it, I'd love to see Randy. I would love for them to like act like they're searching for another member and say, we'll just go into this handicapped, right? We'll go into this without another member, right? So Judgment Day and Drew think that they have the upper hand, and here comes Randy, right? Randy
to be fair, they did that with Undisputed Era and Team Ciampa a couple years ago when Kevin Owens came back.
Dude, think of the reaction when Randy Orton's music hits, if it is Randy.
So here's my thing on that. I complained when Tony Khan did it, and I'll have that same energy if WWE does it. If you're going to bring back Punk, both of them should not be surprise returns. No. Because he did it with Adam Cole and he did it with Daniel Bryan, and after that, neither one of them were talked about after that pop.
No. I'm going to say this right here, right now. I don't want to see Punk in a WWE ring or a ring for that.
I don't either. But if the rumors are true and he's thinking about it, whatever, and he comes back to Chicago, okay, he comes back. As long as he can stay professional and, not cause any backstage riffraff, then, whatever. But me personally, I don't care for him back either. I can acknowledge that somebody's name like him will bring a buzz back to the company, even though, there's plenty of buzz right now, but you get what I'm saying there.
Yeah.
But I don't think that doing a War Games surprise entrant and then having Punk come back in the same breath is a good idea.
No, definitely not. Okay, so moving on. I thought that Raw was pretty good, and I was hype after that.
It wasn't bad. It was a lot of filler. Filler.
Yeah, it felt like they were trying to fill a lot, especially toward the end. The last hour was like interview after interview after interview after promo.
Before we move past Raw, can we just talk about how awful I feel for Xia Li?
Oh,
I have never, in my whole time of watching wrestling, I have never heard an echo on somebody's entrance in an arena. No. You could hear a freaking pin drop in her entrance.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for her because her gimmick is DOA. It's so bad. And I don't know what Triple H needs to do differently, but man.
To be honest, and I'm going to throw this out there, I think that they should have put her in Damage Control. They should have put her in Damage Control, kicked out Bailey.
My only problem with that is then you get those, people that will cry racist, cry stereotype, and all Asian women need to be together kind of thing.
But if we're looking here, right, like everybody that is in Damage Control has been affected by Bailey with the exception of Dakota Kai. Right. To include Xia Li. If we were going back out. But Xia Li's also been affected by Damage Control too. So it would make more sense, in my fucking opinion, as a wrestling fan, as somebody who identifies as not a racist and doesn't think that way, it would only make sense to put them in there, right? Keep them a heel faction, have a double turn where Bailey is turned on, but she also turns face. Doesn't change character, right? Like she's not going to change character. You wouldn't put her back to the fucking hugger. That period's over. But a double turn and have Xia Li. I mean, dude, look at the fucking team. And we're going to get into that for SmackDown, but look at the team they have. And they're a bunch of fucking mercenaries, dude. A bunch of
Every single one of them are incredible.
Every single one of them. And if you're going to have a character come in and join them as a team, why not Xia Li?
Right.
She fits that bill as a goddamn mercenary.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, so moving on, we're gonna move on to oh, by the way, they were in DC and I could have gone and I'm glad that I didn't go. Anyways, moving past Raw, we're gonna go to NXT. Chris, you watch NXT pretty extensively. I don't. So let's talk about it. What was some of the highlights for NXT for you?
So the highlight right now, I'm just going to say that anybody who has ever doubted the Performance Center in any capacity, Britt Baker, I'm looking at you. Um, I think after Tuesday, I think you should stop criticizing the PC in any capacity. The reason I say that is you look at a woman like Lash Legend, who arguably was biting off way more than she could chew when she first debuted. None of us thought she was going to improve because she was getting put on TV time and time again, and it wasn't working. They put her with Metaphor, which is Noam Dar, Jakara Jackson, and Ora Mensa. Arguably one of the most entertaining stables in the company right now. And Lash Legend took on Roxanne Perez, and she showed out. Lash Legend showed the hell out. And you look at a girl who's, if she's not just as tall, she might be just a little shorter than Jade, but she's a big girl.
Yeah.
And Roxanne is tiny. She looked like $1,000,000. And I swear to God, Sean, Lash Legend is going to be one of those women to keep an eye out on. Like her and Tiffany Stratton, I think are some of the best talents on that roster. Roxanne, I feel like is ready for a call up. I feel like she was ready for a call up after she dropped her first title. I think she just needs to work on character a little bit more. People are saying that she has slowed down a lot since she first joined. And I think that's just to kind of help that developing talent. Because if she outshines wrestlers, it makes them look bad. You know what I mean? So I get the criticism, but at the same time, it's like you got to understand that she can't work on the same level that she's worked since she joined the company with everybody.
Yeah.
Because we've seen that she can go. She did really good with Blair. She had awesome matches with Tiffany Stratton. And another person who has, I didn't have any doubts on him coming to NXT, but Baron Corbin is another one the PC has done wonders for him since coming back. He had a banger of a match with Wesley.
Let's speak about Baron Corbin. He did an interview recently with Chris Van Vliet. I don't know if you watched it or if you've seen highlights. I have a much greater respect for Baron Corbin now than I did before, and I loved him before, right? He is that person that will gladly take the pin and not complain about it if it's elevating somebody else, and that is super super unselfish, and he's willing to put other people over at his own expense, dude. And that's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of people want to shit on him for bad gimmicks and shit. And it's like, listen, dude, like he was in the main event scene for what, like a solid year and a half, 2 years. He was the last person to pin Roman Reigns before Jey Uso.
Yeah.
Baron Corbin arguably has the best finisher right now, and I will stay on that hill 100%. I think Baron Corbin is incredible.
End of Days is phenomenal.
Yeah, dude. End of Days and the Deep Six, bro. What a nasty combination of moves. Jesus. Especially that Deep Six.
Yeah, and
he's so safe with it, too.
Yeah.
But work rate Baron Corbin is something I thought I'd never see. He's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's about to have a match with Ilya Dragunov at what the hell is their next pay-per-view?
Vengeance Day?
Deadline.
Oh, okay. Deadline, yeah.
And Ilya has one of the best finishers, the H-bomb, and Baron Corbin is just phenomenal. I would love Baron Corbin to win.
Me too.
But Ilya's not ready to drop that yet.
Mm-mm. I would love to see Baron win just for the fact that, like, I feel like it's his time to help elevate other people, right? Like, and use that status as being a quote unquote veteran to help elevate other people outside of just one-on-one matches, right? Put him, put the North American Championship on him, put the NXT Championship on him. I don't give a damn. Put something on them that's gonna push somebody, like super elevate somebody to the point that they really need it.
Agreed.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. For me, on top of that, like outside of what you talked about, like for me, I don't know. I look at like the promo, not promos, but I look at like some of the video packages that they have for like Gigi Dolan and like JC Jane, and I feel like it's very cringe in my opinion. Just and it's nothing against them. I just feel like the script is hurting them,
Yeah.
and in my opinion.
I think it's all a matter of who they're feuding with and how they present themselves because JC is in a program with Chasey right now, and she's been doing stuff with Thea.
Yeah.
Thea has broken out of her character, and Thea is doing stuff I never thought I'd see her do. Gigi has gotten significantly better since she left Toxic Attraction, as has JC Jane.
Yeah.
I think the biggest misconception of NXT is it being, a kiddie show and, all that riffraff that people try to talk about the show. Man, I'll tell you right now, I watch both NXT and Level Up, and watching some of these guys and girls come up from what they were doing in Level Up and doing it on the main show, and then seeing people's reactions to these guys and girls, it's like, man, I don't think you guys realize the talent that's on NXT. Like, Axiom, bro, if you get a chance, watch the match he had with Riley Osborne on Level Up.
Okay.
It is one of the greatest high-flying matches I've ever seen on NXT. And that's speaking on the entire black and gold era and everything. It was incredible.
Sweet.
And I just think NXT has done a great job at trying to find its identity again and trying to break that whole narrative that NXT was dead. Now we have that connect between the main roster and NXT again. Well, we never had it, but now we have that.
Yeah.
And you got guys like Dominic Mysterio. You got guys like Baron Corbin. You've got Becky Lynch going down there. It's the show to watch, and it's the most consistent of the three shows, in my opinion.
Understood. All right, so we're going to move past NXT, and we're going to hit on something, and I promised at the beginning of the broadcast that we're not going to talk about Dynamite or AEW, but this involves AEW. It involves Cody Rhodes. It involves fans and Michael Cole, right? So here it is. I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to put it up here, and then I'm going to read it to you, and then we'll get into it. Okay, so this was posted by AIR or AIR, whatever, on X, and it was shared over Pro Wrestling World, and it says, another example of WWE being petty as always. Michael Cole on commentary said Cody wrestled his first match back on SmackDown in Capital One Arena. He did some other stuff in the building in this building as well. And then Pro Wrestling World says not mentioning AEW on WWE TV is apparently being petty. AEW fans aren't able to process a show that does not name drop the rival company every possible chance. Now, I'm going to give you, and I know your heart with AEW. Let's be nice. Let's be nice. I will hand the reins over to you for your opinion on the matter, and then I will share mine.
Okay. Me being nice. Ever since Punk left AEW, their fan base, their owner, has spiraled into an oblivion. AEW, since its inception, has name dropped and thrown shots at WWE since it started. Sure, WWE's name dropped AEW maybe once, maybe twice, and they'll take little fun shots sometimes. But AEW does it on a weekly basis. I mean, for Christ's sake, Eddie Kingston just cut a promo about Roman Reigns for no reason.
Yeah.
And it's just like, dude, I get it. You guys don't like WWE. That's fine. But if you're trying to establish a company and you're trying to establish your brand and that you're a competition, why are you constantly talking about WWE? This is why they're losing viewers. This is why a lot of people are walking away because of their fan base. Anybody who knows me and who knows me as a wrestling fan knows how much dislike I have for AEW. But it's not because of the product, and it's not because of the wrestlers. Tony Khan and the viewers are the problem of that show. And I can't believe I'm quoting this man because me and this man don't like each other. Brian Alvarez said it the best. AEW fans should not be pretending like everything is okay in AEW because it's not.
It's not.
The Elite don't draw. MJF is not special anymore. Their women's division is a joke. Those are three really, really big and serious things that people need to start acknowledging.
Yeah.
And that's not coming from hate. That you need to look at that for what it is, and it's facts.
Yeah. Now, everybody watching, you guys can see these banners and these posters behind me. They're AEW posters. I'm going to say that, in my personal opinion, the era of AEW being phenomenal and amazing has passed, and it passed when Punk joined the company. And this is also coming from somebody who is a massive Punk fan, right? And when he came back, I sat in my living room in Alaska and cried because I fucking missed Punk, right? But that first promo really, looking back at it, solidified why I no longer watch AEW on a monthly basis. I will watch AEW if I find, I watched it this week, right? I watched it this week just for the fact that there was one match that I wanted to watch, and I was kind of like, okay, well, let's see what else happens. And it just, I ended up going to my phone, right? Like, my phone's right here because I'm reading comments that will pop up. But I went to my phone and I was scrolling, right? Like, WWE keeps me engaged. AEW isn't doing that, right? And it's really predictable. But you also said, one of the reasons that you don't watch it is because Tony Khan and the fan base, and that is completely true. And that post right there said it all, right? I can think of twice where AEW has been name dropped on WWE TV. One was by Sami Zayn, who has friends that are wrestling in AEW, and he supports them. He's very open about his support for AEW. I don't see that being a problem. And then there was another time where AEW was referenced, right? And the fans are what kill it for me, right? The tribalism. And I'm not, and I'm just talking about AEW tribalism, right? Like, if you don't watch AEW or if you disagree with something on AEW, then you must not enjoy wrestling. You must not enjoy professional wrestling or sports entertainment. No, I love it, but I'm going to call a fucking spade a spade when I see it. And if your product is garbage or predictable, I'm going to call it out. And I will refuse to watch it. Like, I'm not going to buy any more of AEW's. I'm not watching Full Gear tonight.
I forgot it was tonight.
Yeah. I'm not watching Full Gear tonight, right? I might buy Revolution because it's Sting's last match. Maybe, depending on the match and everything surrounding it. But I'm not buying, any other pay-per-views outside of that until the product improves and things change, right? It's not boycotting. I'm not wasting my money on something I don't enjoy. But that being said, right, like, Michael Cole didn't name drop out of respect for Triple H and Vince, right? And I fully agree with that. He didn't name drop out of,
There's no need to.
There's no fucking need to, right? WWE doesn't look at AEW as competition.
Like, here's my question. How would they mention AEW? Oh, he wrestled Sammy Guevara? Who the hell is Sammy Guevara? Nobody knows who that is in WWE.
Right. And so, yeah, it's just one of those things, man, where I think it's dumb, right? And like what Tony's doing right now, and I'm going to say this right now, what Tony's doing right now ruins any chances of them working in the future. Triple H has been vocal about saying, hey, if they want to work with us, I'm for it. But Tony is burning those bridges systematically over time. And it's no longer like fun and entertaining. It's fucking boring. And
look what he did on Twitter when they went head to head with NXT. NXT loaded up the show. Okay, well, NXT is on Tuesday. Dynamite's not.
Yeah.
So, I mean, sure, they could have done without bringing Cena and Taker and everybody who was on the show. But at the same time, Tony wants to sit there and act like a petulant child who I want to point out this hypocrisy. Do you remember when Dark Side of the Ring tried to cancel Ric Flair
Yeah.
for the allegations? So he had the nerve to post about the allegations that Vince has on Twitter, and then he hires Ric Flair a couple of weeks later.
Yep.
Make it make sense.
So my buddy Joe Grace, he's actually the guy I was telling you about with Supercard. He said, I saw y'all were live. I want AEW to be around because of the little competition that there is. The AEW tribalism is out of control. Hey, man, I don't wish that they go out
I
of
don't
business. Chris doesn't either. You know, I just want their product to get better and for them to stop acting like a fucking.
There's two things that needs to happen. One, Tony needs writers.
Yeah.
And two, every one of the fans of AEW, and I mean like diehards, need to hold Tony accountable for the shitty women's division, for the fact that they and yes, I'm gonna say this, and it might be unpopular for me to say, but they have yet to have a black world champion.
Yeah.
We're past the excuse of, oh, it's only been 3 years, it's only been 4 years. It's time to pull the trigger. It's time to stop making excuses. Because if WWE were to not have any black champions or any other person of color, ethnicity, whatever, everybody would be outraged, calling Triple H a racist.
Dude, I'm telling you, you got two people of color right now on the AEW roster that are ready to be world heavyweight champion. But
Swerve being one of them.
Yes, yep.
And Tony does such a terrible job at the diversity thing that it's just like when Scorpio Sky was made champion the second time, the TNT title, what happened? They had him lose it within like a couple weeks.
Yep.
The hot potato title.
Yep. Joe said the writing is trash and the women's division is completely wasted. I agree. Right? They had somebody super special in Serena Deeb, hands down the best women's wrestler in the fucking world, and I will die on that hill. And they wasted it because
Britt Baker.
Because of Britt Baker, right?
Who's a problem?
I love Shida. I love Akira Shida. I think that she's the second best, right? But you know, you're putting her in pointless feuds, and then you bring in Saraya, which, in my opinion, was a fucking mistake. You bring Ruby Soho. I have no problem with her. I'm glad that she's there. But you bring her in. You bring in all these other different women from other companies that aren't doing shit. And then you look at Jade, right? You look at Jade, and you see why she left. You see it. Point blank. Period. They're not. Chris Statlander, great, fucking amazing professional wrestler. What is she doing with a mid-card title? Right? And that's just stupid. The writing is terrible. You know, look. I seen an interview that Darby had where he said that they wanted to send him to AEW where they would change his character, and he doesn't want to work for a company that's going to tell him what to do. Well, sorry. Welcome to the real world. If you work for a fucking company,
that man is not going to be able to walk by the time he's 40.
Yeah. He's an idiot.
And for what? For what? I cannot honestly tell you one match that he's had that I said, wow, he's really good. He's not. He's literally a 150-pound version of Mick Foley. That is literally all he is. And I love Mick Foley.
He's a 150-pound bag of potatoes.
Yeah. Right? And it's like, at some point, you know, a couple weeks ago when Jon Moxley got concussed and he wants to complain about the concussion protocols. Okay, well, tell everybody on your roster to stop working like an idiot. Yeah. Like, what did they do with that gimmicked street fight or whatever they had? Yeah. They had Kota Ibushi take a damn tombstone on his neck.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me that so many fans will not say anything. Like I that Air Gold guy that you just posted, he actually tweeted about Kota taking that spot. Oh, he just landed on his neck. No big deal for him. I'm sorry, what? Right. This man has had like 3 broken necks? Yep. And no big deal?
Yeah, it's dumb. It's stupid. But okay, so moving past AEW because we can sit in here and talk about and pick apart AEW for hours.
Months.
SmackDown, dude, smack fucking down. There were some questions that were answered, right? There were a lot of questions that were answered. We got new number one contenders for the tag team titles, and yeah, dude, and we got the fourth member for the women's War Games match. So starting off, SmackDown started out hot, brought out Damage Control, and they confirmed that Asuka is in Damage Control. But that leads, but that leads to think, right? Like Bailey's reaction, right? Bailey's reaction to Asuka being in the group was very standoffish, right? And you've seen those seeds being planted real quick before I move on. So Joe says Mox talking about concussions is unbelievable when he makes it a mission to literally waste liters of his blood.
Exactly.
I agree.
He's 100% right.
Yeah, Joe. If you come back, you'll every week you'll see that I talk quite frequently how I think it's irresponsible for Mox to bleed every fucking week because it takes the.
I think we talked about it last week, right? The appeal of blood is gone.
Yeah, the appeal of blood is gone. It set a precedence. So going back to SmackDown, it set a precedence for Bailey being ushered out of Damage Control, and I think it's brilliant. I think what Triple H is doing with the women's division on SmackDown is phenomenal. What do you feel about that, Chris?
So I just want to start by saying I agree with you that SmackDown is miles ahead of Raw in terms of women's division, in terms of just a better flow of a show. And people can say the 3 hours is a problem. I don't find the 3 hours a problem if it's a good show. I think the problem with Raw is it has more women's talent and more mid-card talent that are unknown or don't get reactions. Now, when you look at SmackDown, I think Damage Control is one of the greatest things they have been. And I've stood on that hill since they became debut. Where they kind of, booked a little for us, sure. But, I feel it was Judgment Day was perceived the same way. People were complaining about Judgment Day losing. LWO losing all the time. Then they started winning and people complain. I think Kairi Sane coming back to WWE is one of the greatest returns I've ever seen from the women's division because she just has something about her that just screams star. Like she looks and presents herself like a complete badass.
Well, now she doesn't look like a clueless child. Right. Like and her first run in WWE, I was like, man, she looks like a goddamn child.
Her with Asuka was really good. The Kabuki Warriors was great.
Yeah.
Her brief run on NXT was solid, but again, and I'll stand on this too. NXT's women's division now is a million miles better than Black and Gold was because Triple H was so dead set on these undefeated streaks that it ruined the Black and Gold women's division as a whole. Not anybody benefited from losing to Asuka. Nobody benefited from losing to Shayna. And I like both of those talents. I just don't think anybody coming out of Black and Gold succeeded because of, getting jobbed out to Asuka and jobbing out to Shayna.
Yeah. So Joe says, hopefully Dakota Kai takes over as head of Damage Control. I wouldn't have a problem with that. She's very injury prone. She's very injury prone.
She could be a manager. I think she'd be a great manager.
Yeah. And he also says he agrees with Kairi Sane coming back as one of the best in-ring returns for women. But he said, and they should have brought her back, but not in Saudi Arabia. That's what he feels. I feel like it was a surprise that nobody was really seeing coming.
Right. I think if they would have done it on SmackDown, it wouldn't have hit the same. I think when you do returns on pay-per-views, it kind of hits a little bit better, just in terms of reaction from crowds, especially on social media, because that unfortunately that's a big weight in the wrestling community. Yeah. I guess from like a moral standpoint, because I feel like they're really quiet on women's matches, because it's Saudi, whatever. They didn't really pop for her, and I get that. but at
Yeah.
the same time, I would rather her just return at a pay per view opposed to a random ass SmackDown.
Yeah. Joe also says he said they jobbed Asuka's streak to Flair when she came up.
It didn't hurt Asuka at all.
It it didn't, but that was also the WrestleMania where none of the winners of the Royal Rumble won a championship match,
Who
and
was
it
the
was
men's winner that year? Do you remember?
Nakamura.
Oh, that's right, with the AJ Styles match.
Yeah, yeah.
Forgot that happened.
Nakamura lost to AJ, and Asuka lost to Charlotte.
But
Right?
again, the disconnect between NXT and the main roster was there too.
Yeah.
Charlotte is, I would argue, one of the best workers on that roster. Do I think that she should have snapped Asuka's streak? No. But I hate undefeated streaks. I hated Goldberg's undefeated streak. I hate anybody who has an undefeated streak. And that is why. Because it doesn't matter who was in Charlotte's position. It could have been Bayley, it could have been Becky, it could have been Sasha. Any of those other three women, if they would have beat Asuka, people would have bitched their eyes out too. It doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think certain people should have undefeated streaks, right? Like they booked
Like
Asuka.
Undertaker, sure. The Undertaker was fine.
They
Because it was
booked,
at WrestleMania.
yeah, they booked Asuka like a monster, right? And I feel like if they were going to keep Asuka as that monster, she shouldn't have lost it to
Here's
Charlotte.
my thing also with Asuka. Her being in the Rumble, I knew she was going to win it the second that she got put in it.
Yeah.
And then they did that tournament. What the hell was it called? The something challenge, the charity challenge thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where she was undefeated. We knew she was going to win. And like at that point, it's just kind of like, what's the point of having her in a damn match if she can't lose anything?
Yeah, well, shock value. Definitely the shock value of her losing to Charlotte was big, and that further propelled Charlotte into being one of the best women's wrestlers of all time. And her going away and coming back, man. Like I've just like John Cena, I've had the chance to like really appreciate her as a performer, right? And I think, in my personal opinion, I'm gonna say this right here, right now, and anybody in the comments or watching, you can hate me if you want. Chris, you can hate me if you want. I think she is one of the best, well-rounded performers in all of WWE.
Easy. She deserves to be in the top 5 conversation as one of the best workers.
Yeah. And I would say of all time, right? Like, Trish blew her out of the water. Lita blew her out of the water. China. The only reason that I say I put China up there is because China was the Intercontinental Champion. And because she was a founding member of DX, and because she did a lot, she trailblazed a lot for women, right? She trailblazed and put women's wrestling on the map. And so I mean, I don't think I think after and maybe Rhea, but Rhea's been put in some really shitty fucking feuds lately. And
not only that, but I also feel like Rhea's kind of she's coasting. You know what I mean? Like, I love Rhea. Rhea as champion is great for that division. But like you said, she's not having any feuds. I don't give a shit. Half the time I forget she's our champion.
Yep.
And Rhea's great.
It's weird. I'm actually oddly excited for this match with her and Zoe Stark, and I know, you feel a little bit differently about it, but I think Zoe is on that level right now where if you hand her the championship, I think she's going to do fine, right?
She just needs a mouthpiece. She can't cut a promo to save her life.
She needs a mouthpiece.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, if you give her to the point promos, okay, you can get by with that for only so long. But put her out in front of the crowd, that's a no-go.
No. I just thought of something, and I'm going to bring it up, when we talk about that fourth member. But anyways, next we seen the Street Profits against Pretty Deadly and the
Brawling Brutes.
There's a lot that happened in this match. Hold on. Before we get to it, we'll get to a comment. Joe said, agree them saving Becky's match, preferably for Mania, which makes feuds now irrelevant. Talking about Rhea. Yeah. I agree. So there was a lot that happened in this match, and all of it, in my opinion, was good. Right? We seen the Street Profits. They got new music. I when their music hit, I was like, "Who the fuck is that?" Right? Great presentation because now they're full blown heels. Right? There's no there that attachment to the Street Profits of old is no more. Right?
Right.
They're full fledged heels. Love it. Even Montez walking out walking out and that he goes to shake that kid's hand. And he goes. Right, like full fledged heel. I love it. Bring me more. Give me more of the heel profits. But then you got the brawling brutes, man. You got Butch that delivered the bro kick to whatever
Ridge
Ridge.
Hop.
His name is almost forgettable. You have him delivering that. So that's planting the seeds for a split up between the two. And this is something that has been floating online for a while, ever since Rumble. That he potentially will break off from the Brawling Brutes and he will get his name back. And I'm okay with him getting his name back. What did you think of this match?
So let me start by saying I'm a really big Pete Dunne fan, a really big Butch fan. My only fear is you give him the Pete Dunne name and the gimmick back that it's not going to do anything for him. I don't want him to come out to crickets because he's another work rate guy. And I love Pete. I think he's arguably one of the best younger talents on that roster. Like bell to bell, he's incredible. But he's not great at delivering promos. Just like Tyler Bate is not great at delivering promos. I don't know. It's all a matter of how Triple H executes it. Who's the baby face? Who's the heel? Heel Pete Dunne, I think, would be great.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard Ridge cut a promo that I can remember. Maybe like the video package they were doing a little something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm on the fence with it. I've heard everybody talking about him getting his name back soon. I'm like, I don't know, man. Bruiserweight's great, but I feel like he's evolved past that. There's nothing wrong with Butch.
Yeah. I thought the match was pretty straightforward. It served its purpose. Yeah. Served its purpose. Street Profits went over. They got a shot next week on SmackDown for the
it's not in Survivor Series?
No.
It's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, it's the night before. Well, no, you got to think about it because Judgment Day is going into War Games.
Oh, right. You're right. Okay, that makes more sense.
Now, here would be a plot twist. Have Judgment Day drop the fucking tag titles.
I agree. I want it to happen.
Have them drop the tag titles. And I know they just got them back, right? But I don't feel like that would be hot potato at this point because it's serving a purpose. It's serving a greater purpose, right? And then either a cash. Well, we'll talk about that. Anyways, they got a tag team championship match next week. The next segment was Santos coming out and explaining. And he
good.
I said last week that the only way that I felt that this turn would work would be if it was you never meet your fucking heroes, and he did it. And it was amazing, right? And I would
say it's one of the best promos cut this year.
Oh yeah,
and I'm talking about like every company out there right now. Like it was so good,
dude. And then to see Zelina come out and then like beg him and say, why are you doing this? And he said, leave my ring because you sided with Ray. And then the slap,
dude. Attacking Legato,
bro. She slapped the dog shit out of him.
Yep.
And then you move on to Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde walking down, and he does lay a hand on. I forgot. Anyways, he beats the dog shit out of them, and he's about to. I'm assuming power bomb, fucking Cruz del Toro, and then Carlito runs out and he ducks away. Perfect. They're having a match at War Games. I'm happy for it.
I think we're finally going to see Carlito actually show out.
Yeah.
He hasn't been able to show out since he's returned. And I'm really excited to see that match because I think heel Santos, for anybody who's watched him since his NXT days, man, go back and watch his match with Jordan Devlin. Jesus Christ. Santos is incredible.
Yeah. Dude, even go back to Lucha Underground. Watch his work as
Yeah.
Inferno. God, motherfucker. Amazing.
He's a great heel.
But I think what got me through that whole interaction, I said about 7-8 minutes long, was when he was standing looking at the hard camera, dead in the eyes, and was like, Ray, I hope that the surgery was unsuccessful. I hope that you have an infection and you have to amputate your leg. I was like, what?
Michael
And then
Cole's reaction afterwards was so funny. Cut off his damn mic.
Mike, yeah, he's like, who's letting him talk? Cut off his mic. And I'm like, this is fucking perfect. And they
So
executed it perfectly. God, at this point, he is unstoppable.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Now it's all a matter of how Triple H proceeds. Because if Carlito wins somehow.
look here, look, and furthermore, after he said that, he was like, he was right all along. And I was like, who is he talking? He was like, Dominic was right. What?
So
Holy
good.
shit.
So good.
Blew me out of the water.
Dominic is just smiling ear to ear. He's like, bro, I told you he's a deadbeat.
Him saying Dominic was right was like, holy fuck. Like, took it to the next level.
Can I also just say how happy I am that everybody is finally starting to see Dominic Mysterio and what I saw when he first went heel?
Yeah.
Because everybody was so against that heel turn. Just they were against him in general. And I was one of the first people to like fully embrace it. I'm like, man, these prison packages are going to be so good. You guys are going to be talking about it months from now. And when they started doing the holiday stuff, I'm like, bro, I told you guys.
The fact that he came out at WrestleMania in Ray's Halloween Happy 97 gear, in shackles, with a fucking Lucha Libre mask on. God, that is literally Eddie level bullshit. And I loved it.
I think there should be zero debate here. He is the greatest heel in this industry right now.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody gets boos louder than Dominic Mysterio.
No. He is and somebody was like, oh, that's we hate you heat. No, or that's go home heat. No, that's legit.
That's genuine heat.
That's genuine heat. That's genuine. Like, I'm pretty sure that if somebody's seen you on the street, they would beat the dog shit out of you.
You know what's really funny? Since we were kind of talking about AEW, and this kind of coincides with the Dominic Mysterio stuff. When Don Callis turned on Kenny Omega, and they were trying to claim that all the heat that he was getting was real, and now that he's coming out to the no music, you don't hear any reactions. I'm like, so what you're telling me is you piped in those boos to make it sound like he's on the level of Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah.
That's another thing, man.
It's weird. But yeah, I mean, I think I honestly think, like you said, I think he, Dom. Did you see what Zelina Vega did to Dom? She prank called him as like, oh my god, dude, that shit. And then you actually get to see that he does hang out with Judgment Day, like in real life, right? Which is awesome, super cool.
Yeah.
But all right, moving on. Past Santos, not looking at past him, but moving on. We seen who the final member of the War Games match is gonna be. It's gonna be Becky Lynch, the man, the myth, the unsmart legend. She got dominated in fucking Jeopardy.
She's a good sport, though.
She was a good sport. She holds the record for the most unanswered or wrong.
Did you see her tweet response to that? She's like, I'm still making history.
But anyways, it is Becky. With the current state of the women's War Game match, do you think that it was smart to put Becky in that spot, or do you think it should have been given to somebody else?
I don't think there's anybody else that would have made sense. Not only that, but I also don't think there would be anybody as a baby face that would look good on their team besides Becky. I mean, you think of the baby faces that are on Raw. You got Candice, nobody wants to see her in War Games. You got Indy, nobody wants to see her in War Games. Zoe's facing Rhea. Uh, Mia Yim got attacked backstage. Zelina got attacked backstage. So I mean, it's like while
Yeah,
Triple H is doing great things for this division, there's also a lot of problems in the women's division on the main roster side.
yeah,
At least on the Raw side, not so much SmackDown anymore.
yeah. I agree, but I also had this thought. Right, we talked about Xia Li earlier, and a few different segments of this live. This is a good way to get her into fucking Damage Control. She's in a feud with Becky. They could kick out. They could kick out Bailey at War Games and replace her, put her in there. I mean, there's just so many options, right? And the stories will write themselves if you give them a
Right.
chance. Um, that way, Damage Control could float back and forth between Raw and SmackDown. But
I don't
anyways,
want to overexpose him though. That's the only problem.
So Joe actually said something I said last week. He said it could have been a good time to bring Jade into AEW. I agree. I mean,
I'm on the fence with that because is she ready for that kind of stage?
yeah.
Because my biggest complaint with her was the in-ring stuff. And if you're going to have her in the ring with somebody like Asuka or somebody like Charlotte or Io that can easily outperform her, I don't want her anywhere near a pay-per-view yet.
Yeah. I said that it would be a good way, and a good kind of like, but it's like at that point it would be like the people you may know, good old boys system. You put her in the War Games match because Cody brought her over, right?
Exactly.
And she's worked closely with Cody for her whole career, with the exception of when he left, right? So like I would have loved to see her in War Games, but and I still would like to see her in War Games, just not right now. Give her some time to develop.
Exactly.
Whether it's you debut her now or you debut her at the Rumble, right? Give her
I
some
think they
time.
should wait till the Rumble.
Oh yeah,
It
dude.
would be the smartest way to introduce her.
It's fucking so much anticipation for Jade. Like everybody wants to see her, and they're like, "Oh, she's gonna come on Raw. She's gonna come on SmackDown. She'll show up on NXT. She'll show up at this pay per view, that pay per view, even day one." Like because I'm pretty sure you're gonna do it day one again, like day one, and then have her debut at the Rumble at like number 30, or like at number one. See if she can run the gauntlet. That'd be badass. I'd love to see that.
That'd be crazy, but I don't think they do that to her. At least
No,
not yet.
no. So yeah, that was the end of SmackDown. In my opinion, I thought it was a great show.
Very good show.
Yeah. So we're gonna move forward before we shut down shop. We're gonna move forward by a week, and we're gonna hit this topic again, but we're gonna have more matches that are added to the card or anything. We're gonna give our current what we believe is gonna happen at Survivor Series, even though we're a week away. So, starting out, God, what fucking matches? Okay, we're gonna start off with Mommy versus uh, Zoe Stark. Chris, what do you think is gonna happen with Mommy and Zoe Stark?
I think it'll be a nice little back and forth match. I obviously think Rhea's going to win. I don't see her dropping anytime soon, nor should she. But yeah, I think Zoe's going to get a good little show out there. But I don't think Zoe's going to win.
Yep. I agree. I think that this will be kind of like um, the Roman Reigns treatment with LA Knight. We'll see something like that where it helps elevate her and get her to the next level. Okay, so oh my god, this is dumb. This website is stupid. CBS. Anyways, so we've got that match. Okay, so people are saying that they think that Solo Sikoa is going to fight against LA Knight at Survivor Series. Do you think that
Solo
match?
should win.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
If he's beating somebody like Cena, Solo needs to win.
Oh god,
Especially if you're going to make him believable.
Solo is so goddamn hot right now. So on fire. To have him lose against LA Knight, I don't think should happen.
I think LA Knight's okay losing right now. I think he has. He's been on a nice little uphill for a while. I don't remember the last time he lost. I think the last time he lost was against Bray. Rest in peace.
Yep.
And I don't think he should lose anymore, or I don't think he should win for at least until WrestleMania.
Yeah, I agree. I think that he is on the right path. So Joe says, I don't want to see that. Solo would have to win. Yeah, I mean, that's a match that I wouldn't want to see. I don't want to see Solo versus LA Knight. I wanted to call him Eli Drake, but yeah, I don't want to see that match. So the damn it. All right. So the next match is we got a Santos versus Carlito. How do you think this match is going to go, and who do you think is going to
I
win?
think that match might be the match of the night, to be honest with you. Especially if they give him time, if they let Carlito show out, and if they let Santos show out. Um, the only time we have seen Santos show out on the main roster so far has been that match against Ray. Anytime else, he has not been given an opportunity to show out. And since Carlito has returned, same thing. That match with Bobby Lashley was forgettable.
Yeah. Who do you think? Who do you think takes the W?
I think Santos should win.
It has to be.
Carlito has no reason to win.
No, no. I would agree. I think Santos should win, and it could set up for an individual feud between Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wild, or it could give them the opportunity to turn on Carlito for Legado del Fantasma, which is what I've been begging for. Give me what I want, Batista. The next we got Gunther versus The Miz. My God.
I'm just going to say this. If they're stupid enough to put that title on Miz, I probably won't tune into Raw until Miz loses it. I love The Miz. I have been a fan of his since 2016, since that promo against Daniel Bryan. And I think he is doing some of his best work that he's ever done. But Gunther has run over literally everybody put in front of him. Names that are arguably bigger than Miz in terms of in-ring talent.
Yeah.
Miz should not win this. And I hope he doesn't win because it's just going to make Triple H look really bad and it's going to make Gunther look pathetic, honestly.
I agree.
There's no beneficial direction I could see of The Miz winning.
No. I think the only way that he could win is if he, quote unquote, does everything to win like he did against Ivar, which is a heel move, but like it's something different. But anyways, we're gonna go back to the comments. Joe said, kind of want to see, and what he's saying here is what I was thinking when I was watching this. He said, I kind of want to see Humberto and Garza come up to join Santos on a 3.
I thought that's what was going to happen.
Yeah, dude, that would be great because those two have improved significantly.
Did you watch their match with the Creed brothers, the last NXT Creeds match? Bro, go back and watch that match. It's crazy.
I'll have to check it out. And then he said heelish brand of the LW. I'd like it. I would like Legado to come back. Legado del Fantasma, right? That was probably one of my favorite factions of the modern era. Because they just did some really good work. I don't want to see the Miz take the Intercontinental title. I know that Gunther said that he's ready to move on to bigger and better things, but right now I don't want to see it. Okay, so we're looking next at the women's War Games match. We got Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, Shotzi, Becky Lynch versus Damage Control. Who do you think is going to win?
Damage Control needs that win.
Oh yeah.
I know I'm on like a heel kick here, but Damage Control needs the win.
Not a single woman on the face side of the team, with the exception of Shotzi, needs that win.
Yeah. Like obviously we're gonna see Shotzi do some pretty crazy shit, I'm sure. Same with Io.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Shotzi for a second, because I remember last year you and I had a conversation about Shotzi during the women's Money in the Bank match, and I shat on her because of all of the botched spots, and I said she's going to hurt somebody. How do you feel she is since her return?
She has massively improved since that Money in the Bank match, and I said this when she went away the first time when her dad passed away, and I I don't see it as making an excuse for her as much as she's out there because she needs to be out there for herself.
Mhm.
Whether or not she's putting on 5-star matches is irrelevant. I think just the fact that she was out there and she was getting massively attacked by everybody on social media was horrible.
Yeah.
When she shaved her head for her sister going through cancer, people did it again. So I'm a really big fan of Shotzi, and I will stand by being a fan of hers because if somebody like her cannot quit and keep going after all the shit that she faces online every day, I that is a strong woman. I'm 100% behind her.
Oh, absolutely. When I heard that she shaved her head for her sister, I had a lot of respect for her, right? Because, just side note off the topic of wrestling, like part of women's identity is their hair, right? And so for her to take her hair off in support of her sister, dude, I have that much more respect for her. So I agree, and I agree with you about Damage Control. They should win. I think that they should kick Bailey out,
Especially with Kyrie being there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
She should not take any L's anytime soon.
No, no. And then add another member, somebody different, right? But it has to be a perpetual beatdown of her. All right, of Bailey. So, anyways,
there is one talent whose name has been floating around these last couple of weeks, and that's Julia from Stardom. She is a name that I guess WWE put a bid in for that they're trying to get her over there. So, shit, she could join Damage Control and be in Kyrie's team. I mean, Stardom girls, it's not a bad idea.
No. Okay, so the last match that's currently on the card is we got Cody Rhodes, Sammy, Jey Uso, and Seth Rollins tentatively against Damian Priest, Dom, Finn Balor, and JD McDonough in the War Games match. Now, there is a lot of speculation going around that Drew will be a fifth member for a 10 or a 10-man War Games match, which I wouldn't have a fucking problem with. But that also begs to differ, like we talked about at the beginning of this conversation. Who would be the fifth member? You and I both said Randy. I think that that's a good bid. But that's not to say what happens during the match. What do you think happens during and after the match?
Well, like I said, man, I think the whole bloodline thing, it bleeds, no pun intended, in a lot of different directions. There's a lot of talent that was affected by the bloodline. Drew McIntyre being one of them. Seth Rollins being another one. Cody Rhodes being another one. I mean, him embracing Jay is great and all, but it's like, what happened the last time Cody Rhodes was at WrestleMania?
Yeah.
The Usos and Solo cost him his title.
Yeah.
Or cost him a title match. And same with Randy Orton. Randy Orton got taken out by the bloodline. So while Randy Orton would be great to have him return and be on that team, I need to see that tension between Orton and Jey Uso. Like the Drew thing. I would not mind Randy Orton coming back as a heel and turning on Team Cody.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking that is a route that could happen.
And here's another matchup to throw your way. A Cody versus Randy Orton feud on the way to WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah.
Would be phenomenal.
Oh, Joe said Randy comes back and he's the reason they lose by beating Jay.
Nice little RKO to Jey Uso.
Look, I agree. I would love to see heel Randy versus Cody leading into WrestleMania. I would love to see Cody get a fuck here. Look, this is how far that I'm willing to go, and I hate like people turning on Cody like at this point because it's been done, right? Like it was done with Seth, then it was done with Brock, right? I would love to see Cody get a shot at Seth Rollins' title, and he gets fucked again, but by Jay, right? Jay prevents him from winning, right? And it's nothing to do with Jay does it, right? For a heel Jay. I don't.
So go
I
from like heel to face to heel again that soon?
well, he's
That would
been
be my only complaint.
at that point. At that point, I feel he would be a face for about a year.
Right.
But anyways, I would love to see that, but I don't think that that's a way that they want to go. I would love to see it. I would also love to see Randy.
We also saw on SmackDown though, Cody was on SmackDown again.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of like little
See.
breadcrumbs Triple H is leaving for everybody.
Oh yeah. Um, but I think and you and I talked about this last week, and I'm still under this like thought that like something big is going to happen at Survivor Series that's going to shake the foundation. I think it's going to be a cash in, right? But what I think is going to happen is it's going to get to the point where Judgment Day beats the dog shit, and we're saying Judgment Day with Drew beats the dog shit out of the faces, and then handcuffs them to the cage and leaves Seth in the middle of the ring, and they destroy Seth. Like we're talking like Ready to Rumble WCW movie, top rope splashes from everybody. Mm-hmm.
The four corner splash.
Yeah, the four corner splash of doom, right? Where like everybody just like does their finisher on Seth, finishes him off completely, and then Damian cashes in.
I'm not against it.
I would love to, or he initiates the cash in so that the match starts, and then Judgment Day kicks him out as an ultimate fuck you to kick him out.
Yo, what if Damian and Seth kick it off?
Ooh, oh, and he pins
and he
Seth.
cashes in before the War Games match starts.
I never thought about that.
I think it'd be crazy. He doesn't have anybody from the Judgment Day trying to stop him. None of the faces to save Seth. It can happen.
Dude, that is perfect.
I mean, we could do a beginning, we could do an ending. I mean, it's
yeah.
I mean, don't know.
Any way. I think that would be great. But I have this like sneaky suspicion that they're not that he's gonna try and cash in, and he may. They may set it up where they beat the dog shit out of Seth in the middle of the ring. Now, hear me. And then they set it up, and then he goes to pin. He goes to pin Seth, and he hands let's just say he hands Rhea the case and says, "Give it to the referee. I'm cashing in now." And then she goes to hand it in, but she grabs the microphone.
Shakes her head, yeah.
She grabs the microphone and says, "This is Judgment Day's briefcase," and she hands it, and Drew takes it.
Bro, that'd be crazy.
Yeah,
I don't know how I would feel about that, because then people will bitch about LA Knight not winning because Damian Priest drops it to fucking Drew. I don't know.
Okay. Oh, no. I understand that. And I don't give a shit about what people say. What I'm saying is like right now,
yeah,
that could be something that they pull off, because look, Rhea's been in control of that briefcase the whole goddamn time.
This is true.
Rhea has been
except for Saudi.
Yeah, she wouldn't let him cash in at Saudi. No.
Sammy stopped him.
Sammy did. She wouldn't let him cash in. What was the pay-per-view before that? SummerSlam? No, it wasn't SummerSlam. Whatever the fucking pay-per-view was before then. She wouldn't let him cash in then.
Right.
Every single
because he was hurt.
Yeah. But she said, no, not tonight. No, not tonight. She's been giving him the cues of when to do things, right? This could be one of those things where she says, sorry, dude, you're not in Judgment Day anymore, and this contract doesn't have your name on it. It literally says championship, and she hands it to Drew, and then they handcuff Damian.
It would make sense. It would make a lot of sense why Drew's aligning with them.
But it would also make a lot of sense because Drew's like, I already have the shoe in.
Right.
I already know what the fuck is going to happen, man. So like, yeah, there's so many ways that they could go with this, man. And I think that there's so many different avenues that they could approach, because you and I both talked about, you felt that Damian wasn't ready for a championship run, that it would do more harm to him than good. And I kind of agree to that. I think he needs a singles push outside of Judgment Day.
He did
Uh,
have the U.S. title though.
he did, but like,
That was also Vince booking.
yeah, that was Vince booking, and the horrible faces that he was making, right?
Yeah,
I think he needs a singles run outside of Judgment Day where he establishes himself that he can run on his own. And
right.
I'm not saying put him up against Gunther by any means. I'm saying like have him feud with Judgment Day, have them have and I fucking hate that. Like you break up with a group and you're going to feud with every single person in that group. Come
Right.
on, because we know how this is going to play out because it happens every single time. But there's so much that is happening right now in WWE. I love it and I'm enjoying it, and we'll see what the future holds. But um, Chris, as far as Survivor Series, do you think that there will be any surprises that we are not ready for?
Punk.
Do you think so?
I'm like 40-60 on it, but that would be something I don't think anybody on Twitter is going to be ready for. Anybody in the wrestling community as a whole is going to be ready for it.
No.
I personally don't want to see him back. I've been very vocal about that, but I'm not going to sit there and acknowledge what he could do for ticket sales,
Now,
what he could do for attention.
if you think that happens, does he go to Raw or does he go to SmackDown?
I think he goes to Raw. I think that'd be the smart way to go. Keep him as far away from Roman right now as possible. Because I think if you put Punk on SmackDown, it pushes down anybody they're trying to build on SmackDown, LA Knight included.
Yeah.
Because I truly think there is a lot of holes in LA Knight's promo game, and Roman almost exposed that, as did The Miz. I think Punk would annihilate him on the mic.
Oh, hands down. Joe says he's 80-20. Now, if he does debut, do you think that they do the same thing? And I hate to put CM Punk's name in the same sentence as this man, but do you think they do it the same way that they did with Bray, where it's at the end and lights go down, music plays?
So here's my thoughts on how they would do it. So you remember how Shinsuke debuted in NXT by chance?
Yeah.
Sami Zayn did an open challenge and Shinsuke answered it.
Yeah.
So why not have Shinsuke do the same thing?
Yeah, because he is hinting at an opponent.
Shinsuke walks out to the middle of the ring, cuts his promo about the said person he's been waiting for and hasn't answered anything, so he's calling him out, blah, blah, blah. And we get a little video package on, like a dictator marching through the city or whatever, burning buildings, whatever that WWE does. And the microphone drops and Cult of Personality plays and comes out. That would be how I would do it, just because that would be long-term storytelling for Shinsuke.
Yeah.
Because that's how he debuted, so why not have Punk debut the same way?
Well, in a weird kind of, Joe said I want him to fight Nakamura if he does come back, and Nakamura's been cutting those cryptic promos on Raw, and he did the GTS on Raw a few weeks back. There, people have been picking apart some of his different appearances, like walking through a door and there's stars on the door, right? And like, cool. If it happens,
but Punk's also been trolling AEW too, because they think he's the devil.
Yeah. And there's so many different routes and avenues that they could go. The writing is on the wall for Punk, like the writing was not on the wall for Cody at WrestleMania. So it could be something. It could be something completely different. A bunch of people thought that the person that was going to fight Seth at WrestleMania was somebody completely different, and then Cody came out, and everyone was like losing their fucking mind. So
also remember the dirt sheets were so like, it's not Cody. Cody re-signed. Cody isn't going to WWE. Blah blah blah. And then when he did, that's when I think that's when the downfall of AEW started, is when Cody left.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're heading to the end of our time here. I thank you, Joe. Thank you, everybody, for commenting. Thanks for hanging out with us and talking with us. I really appreciate it. Next week, we are going to talk about the same stuff, not necessarily the same, but we're going to talk about it because Survivor Series is next Saturday, conveniently after our live, and we are also going to talk about uh, Full Gear. We're going to talk about Full Gear. I'm not watching it, but I'm going to look up the highlights and see what happens. The only match that I really wanted to see on here was Swerve and Hangman, because I just fucking hate Hangman so much. But yeah, Joe, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing.
thank you, Joe.
You're always welcome back, man. And till next time, be good, y'all. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, and continue enjoying wrestling and everything that it is to
Just
us.
enjoy wrestling.
Right. So till next week, much love. Be good.